order. We have no public hearing, but we have Mr. Scheer. If you want to come up to the center and the floor is yours.
Okay, I won't take long. I'll try to read my own notes. First off, congratulations to everybody on your elections.
Or condolences.
Or condolences. And I'm here to just discuss and put in front of you a $735 1 month water bill, commercial water bill, and a property that's vacant. It's the Advocate office. And just before the Advocate moved out the end of July, I'd asked at the office about turning the water off and what can be done on utility bills. And with commercial, you might be vacant for years, right? And I was told there that the policy had changed, that there would be no reduced utility costs even if you shut it off. That bothered me for a while, so then after the Advocate moved out, I went back to the town office in early August and asked again what could be done, if it could be, and then totally shut off for a fee and back on for a fee when you need it, which is fine. We're talking about water. And that all garbage and sewer charges would still be continuous. And this was a new policy that the last council had put in, I think, aimed at the snowbirds, which is, in my mind, residential, not commercial. So to me, there's a big difference, eh? And I agree with that policy for residential. I don't have a problem with that. But commercial is quite different than residential. For example, it could be vacant for many, many years and you still got all these ongoing costs. It could be a multiple unit property just like this building. There's 4 units in there. It's not just the Advocate office in that site. And then when I went back in early August sometime, I can't remember the date, I asked about getting the water shut off. We'll pay these fees on and off. And then after a few days, the town said that it couldn't do it because the whole building, all 4 commercial units, are on one town shutoff valve outside. So you can't do it. So then I got smart, I thought I did, and I turned the water off inside the Advocate office for that one unit, right? There's a thing right by your meter. Then I thought, okay, I shouldn't get the water usage, and we'll talk about the other things later. There is only 1 toilet and 1 sink and 1 hot water tank in that Advocate unit. So normally the water usage in there ran anywhere from maybe $80 to $120 a month. When the Advocate staff was in there. Then I got this bill, that's the one I'm complaining about, for $735 just for water usage alone in that property, which to me was vacant. Stu checked the meter, it says it's working fine. Nancy said that the meter says the water went through there between July 24 and August 21 and then quit. So maybe it was the 21st of August but I thought I shut it off earlier. I don't know. And I talked to Kim about a week or 10 days ago, and he gave me a bright idea to go in there, turn the water back on, and see if the toilet and sink were running constant, and they're not. And the hot water tank's not running. I got power and electric still going in there. Both were not running. There was no sign of water or wet anywhere, at any time actually. And I don't think that I should be paying that bill. We went around and around about the meter says, and you guys get billed it and a whole ball of wax, but I don't see how that water could have gone through there. I don't believe I should pay this, and there should be a policy where residential is completely different from commercial, or you guys should think about that. Commercially, utility bills alone, I pay, I think I got 9 units, something like that, in the town, and I pay about $800 a month to the town on average for utility bills. I also pay about 21,000 in taxes. This is all commercial, not residential, okay? And again, the last council were the ones that are responsible for the snowbird clause there, and I don't disagree with that. I agree with it for houses. But I don't think any of them had commercial property and looked at things from a different perspective, right? And of that 800 a month utility bills that I pay commercially, 370 roughly is for garbage removal alone from that building, which is 4 units. Each unit gets $90, 2 garbage charges, $45 each. So that's about $370 a month. So out of that 800, 370 is for garbage removal from that one site. And in actual usage, the dentist is the only one who uses it. He might put garbage out there once every 2-3 weeks. So I think that there should be some give and take, and I really don't like that water bill. The garbage removal is something else. Kim says I gotta go to the Municipal Planning Commission to talk about that one. But that's a separate issue from this bill. About 10, 12 years ago, the office that I'm in now on Main Street, it was vacant before the oil company went in there, I think. Anyway, it was vacant, and I asked for the water to be shut off at that time. Town couldn't do it because the infrastructure was rusted open. So I had a vacant property. I also had a flood in the basement, and I had to put about a $7,000 or $8,000 new furnace in there because the town lines couldn't be shut off. I didn't complain or anything at that time, you know, but I am complaining about this water bill. I think that's about it, you guys. That's the picture. If you can look at it from a commercial, you know, commercial is different from residential. I don't disagree on the residential. We all should pay our shares. We all should also pay our shares commercially. But, you know, I think I have 4 in this building and the building next to me, my building, and there's approximately 21 jobs in those places. They come to work in this town, and you know, the town gets income. You're getting your cut out of all the power bills and utility bills, and even on this bill, the vacant place, eh? So there's to be some give and take on things. So I just don't think that water bill is right. You keep telling me that the meter's fine. So I don't know where the water went.
So since they have shut it off, you've shut it off on August the 24th.
I think I shut it off before then, but I don't know. Nancy says that it went through, the water went through from the 24th of July and the Advocate was still in there.
So August 24th, I guess for the purposes of the graph, so that everybody knows what it is, this is when there was regular usage in the building. This is July 19th, July 22nd, July 25th, and then on July 31st, something happened where the flow, about midday, the flow came in, and we had 24 hours a day, 7 days a week flow until halfway through the day, or midday anyway, on the 24th of August, and then we haven't had anything go through the meter since. And this is the log, the interval dates. So you can see, and where Bob was talking about when the Advocate was in there, on the 21st, they used 1 cube. They used 0.1 cube, 0.16, 0.2, 0.1, 0.3, and then it went up to, and this is where that flow started on the 31st, 10 cubes, and then it averaged at 17 and a half cubes, right through until the 24th, where 7 cubes went through, and you can see since that date, 0.02, and then we've had many days where it's 0, 0, 0, all the way through to where they finished the data logging on October 1st.
So
it went to October 20th is when we did the data logging.
What this tells me is something happened on July 31st when they moved out.
And it didn't get caught until the 24th.
Yeah, but I still don't feel responsible for this water.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not sure what we're gonna do with that one. I guess we'll discuss it and see if we can come up with some kind of a. And then when, on the garbage, there's two things on garbage. One is well, there's a sewer charge of the $27.
Yeah.
And then the garbage is in two areas, the garbage collection and the garbage transfer. The garbage transfer is an allocation that comes from the
I understand.
waste authority.
Yeah.
The garbage collection, we can eliminate that if you wanted to put it in a container or haul it home and do whatever you want with it. We can eliminate the garbage collection, but we have to know before the first of the year. So for the full year, there'll be no garbage collection type thing, so we can eliminate that. But because we have to let the waste authority know that we're not going to have that collected at that site.
But here's some give and take, I wasn't aware of that. And first,
But
I was told you couldn't get anything less.
Yeah, and on the transfer station one, we're pretty well fixed, because what we do is we take, matter of fact, it's even subsidized, the transfer station, by, we get a grant, which is called the MSI operational. So we subsidize the cost of garbage collection, or transfer site, to all our residents by that. Now, there has been discussion, should we subsidize it at all, or should we subsidize it by, general taxation? And the previous councils chose to subsidize it through MSI money, and
Okay, so Tom, what that means is I could request the town, because this is one site, or one garbage pickup,
right.
once every 2-3 weeks, I could get 3, because there's still gotta be one, right?
Right.
I could get 3 of those $45 charges removed.
Theoretically, so this is only for one side of them, right? On there.
This is individual units
Right, okay.
inside.
So that's the only building
This
we
is
got
one.
that's
So that's probably why Nancy said that, you might want to go to MPC and see if there was, some way of
Because for the use of the building.
of the use of the building.
So I do have to go through MPC to get this?
Well, I'm not sure. It was just an option, I think, that Nancy threw on there to say, because MPC draws up the
Conditions on land use.
conditions on land use, and then they recommend it to the town. So then we put it into policy or whatever. So it goes through a separate body, which is a third party.
Okay, thank you for that.
Now, and again, there has been some in the past history, and I'll pick on the 17th Street as an example. It was one that, there was a request made, and they had the same thing. They have one water meter for the whole building type thing, their garbage. So they went to a container. They were able to remove that garbage collection one because they paid for somebody to dump their container. So Furniture Builder, as an example, wouldn't have that garbage collection because they hire, Hobart or Joe's container
Commercial,
garbage. Yeah. Now, again,
I don't want to do that. I'd rather stay with the town because Dave's working there and,
Yeah. And again, like you said, they, the amount of garbage that's generated is not huge. It's not a full container full, that's generated from that site.
Like, I don't use garbage in my office or the building next.
Yeah.
And I'll pay those ones just because I'm part of the.
Yeah, and I think that's part of our problem too, is that, we give a number to the collection, for at the very beginning of the year, for the whole year. So we've already given, like they're doing budgets right now. So
Kim was telling me that.
So they would do a number, and they ask us for a number, and we give them a number, and that's the numbers that they collect from. And they calculate how much it is, and we divide it all up. To be honest with you, our utilities bills, and you can go online and see, utilities are fairly close to being par. Like, we don't make any money off utilities, but we don't really lose much off utilities. But if we didn't subsidize it with the MSI operating side, there'd be a loss.
When is the next planning commission? Not November
21st.
21st?
We wouldn't be able to get on it, though, would we?
Nancy's
No.
pretty
Well, the next
accommodating.
one.
Yeah, and it's usually 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so if you can catch Nancy tomorrow, and,
Okay.
and we'll discuss it, I'm,
Okay.
you know, I mean, we're not trying to be, you know, mean and.
No, I know.
But we have a, you know, X amount of dollars to, and we have to divide it up however we can, and,
I'm over my age.
yeah, I know. Aren't we?
And actually, by the way, since you guys cleaned it out, it's functioning, and I was telling Kim that the alkali's less. It's actually coming back nice, so.
Yeah, and then, for those, the new ones that are here.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We have a right of way across a couple pieces of property to the north where we have a water ditch. that
You're
goes
sending
across.
me water I don't want, but I don't pay for it.
Right. But the problem with it is
Maybe
too
he's
is,
come back to haunt you.
but we had some issues with this ditch over years, and we tried to accommodate these issues so Bob's had some issues with us on the ditch for years. And it crosses CPR land, and the CPR altered it and changed it, and now we were trying to work with environment. So environment and us, the three of us, you know, the town, the CPR, and Mr. Shearer, we all try and deal with this issue with this here ditch and.
County too, they put in that.
That
end.
culvert.
Yep, that made a big difference too.
Yeah, and then unfortunately too, we had a farmer that
Farm through it,
farmed through it and kind of made the daylight a little easier.
an oil company that changed things
Put a-
without permission, just.
Put a
did it.
dugout in.
So it's been a thorn for everybody for a period of time. I'm glad that it's working better, and
And I guess for an update for Bob, we've got Alberta Environment happy from a operational standpoint. We're still working with CPR to get amendments. And I've been
They're their own country, you know.
four,
That's right.
4 years trying to get somebody to sign a letter
They're their own country, they have their own police and everything.
yeah.
with guns.
So I
Okay, well,
apologize for
thank you
taking
very
a long
much
time.
for taking the time to come, and we will definitely discuss it, see if
Yeah,
it's something we can do.
commercial's quite different, you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Oh.
You don't,
Oh, you're welcome
you
to
don't want to
stay.
stay?
You're welcome to
No,
stay.
thank you. I got credit union tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good, thank you. Okay, so we probably should add that one to the agenda somewhere too, though.
Under new business,
Yeah.
so it'd be 11:10.
Okay, we have 2 items to add to new business. 11.9 MPC appointment. And if you read the minutes of the MPC, there's a recommendation there. And then 11.10, the
112 Third Ave utility bill.
110, oh, is it 110 and 116?
112, I
Oh, is it
think.
112? Okay. It just is 110 and 116. And then,
Unit 112 Third Ave.
okay. So is there any other additions from anybody else? Hearing none, somebody wish to agenda as amended? Okay, Laura? Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, now we have a couple sets of minutes here. The regular council meeting of October 23rd. Is there any questions on any of the minutes? Karen's good enough to try and send them out so that we can get any errors or corrections made prior to us seeing them again, but sometimes there's little things that we... So is there any questions on them? If not, can I have a motion? George Lee? Okay, any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, organizational meeting. Any questions on the minutes of the organizational meeting? No? Okay, Laura moves it. Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to unfinished business. For those new ones, we had a opportunity to put in some sea cans in behind the concrete plant, there's a piece of property that the town owns. And it went to MPC, and the residents that live around it had concerns. So we moved to Plan B, and we have a piece of property up in behind the town shop, which used to be on airport land. And so we applied to put them up there. And these ones here are community ones, will be community storage, like the Lions Club, the Kinsman Club, the Cadets, or the Spock Days, or any of those groups that potentially want to have a place to store stuff that's not in everybody's garage. And so the Kinsmen were the ones that are probably the first really major push. And so this piece of property is in behind there, and the proposal is to chain link it all the way around it and then have a gate so that there would be access to it from off of the airport road, I believe, is still a consideration. And but unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever we want to look at it, the land is a little bigger than what we had originally thought, and so the price changed. So that's where the change in the philosophy on it is, or the cost. And so there is a new cost allocation to this one. And the suggestion is that we take this money out of contingency and put the chain link fence around this piece of property so we can move the, and there's a little bit of money in there for landscaping. And that landscaping means that they'll do some site preparation, clean it up, and put some gravel down in the spots that they need to, and go from there. So,
Is there any money for sea cans?
well, that'll be the next one that'll come.
And we're proposing at the community group storage.
Yeah.
So is that a reasonable amount, 7,000? I'm sure
Yeah,
they
it's
just
not-
priced it out
well,
the same
it
as
was-
the first part.
Yeah,
The first one.
if you can see, their first one was for 390 feet,
Yeah, second one is.
and the second one is 660.
So it's just about doubled, which is,
Yeah, which is what the quote is.
Okay.
They're fairly consistent now. The key to that one was frost-free conditions. We're pushing the envelope there. If there's snow still on it, the frost should be minimal.
yeah.
So,
So anyway, the theory of it is to proceed with this and get started on it and go.
That would be done, because I think
Laura moves
we
it.
pretty much gave them permission the first time around, so.
Yeah.
yes, and this just adds the additional to the first motion that you need to draw it from contingency reserve. So,
How much is left in contingency, roughly?
Quite a bit.
Some?
yeah, oh yeah.
You'll see it a little bit later.
And you're adding to it.
Pardon?
We're gonna
We're
add
adding
something
to
to
it.
it.
Oh, the other one, yes, that was good.
Okay, so any questions on it? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. I guess we won't see it tonight. We have no financial statements.
No.
For those, you two new ones again, financial statements we usually only have once, like on one of the council meetings. They don't come every council meeting, so. So sometimes you'll see like financial, there's none, but
Got one more?
They cover the entire month, so we only do it once a month.
okay, so then we'll move on to correspondence. There's only two that have been submitted early, and first one is that Rural Prospective Initiatives. This is a group that came to the town and put a proposal, well, the town and the county put a proposal together, and they're hosting this, or I shouldn't say hosting, they're partner with Okotoks in regional information. So this is what they have put together. And so then they find other people to partner with them. So that's across the whole bottom, the Alberta Rural, Tech, Psych, and then SAIT, and, Plains Industries. And so there's quite a few there that, have ponied up and partnered with them to put on this program. So they invited us to attend if we wanted. And so this is what the format would be. And what's,
This group, if I may, this group works off of grant funding, so they partner with municipalities quite a bit so that they can fund, so that they can do the grant funding through the municipalities when they need to. They approached the town about entering into a partnership for a grant earlier this year, and have tried to set up a meeting where they could come and give a good proposal on what they actually do. Tom attended one of their sessions so that he could get more information, and it was suggested that they come back to town council to actually do a presentation, and they just haven't come yet. So as part of this, they want to make sure when they come, they're inviting you to all of the events that they have, so you can have an idea of what they're trying to do.
This is the same day as, Think the Champions, huh?
The same
The
one.
say well,
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't call it thing.
That's okay. No, that's okay. But anyway, it's there if somebody wishes to go. The second one is just the information from
South Grove.
South Grove.
Notable on the very last.
Yeah, I see that.
statement.
Retirement of,
He's been there forever.
Nah, about 5 years, 6 years, but he's been around forever.
Good for him.
okay, so these are just informational items probably. Somebody wishes to move for information?
Receive
Paul?
for information.
Okay, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, then moving on to board reports or committees. There's 7 of them there for us. Well, I guess 6, right? So these are the ones that we talked about. If you can get your group to send your minutes ahead, then sometimes it makes it a little easier when you're trying to highlight your items that you've talked about. But so the first one is FCSS. Any questions on the FCSS? Next
Just-
one. Oh,
just-
sorry.
An observation that the people that are coming to do the doors at the library are gonna talk about that interconnecting door, because there is a concern.
Yeah, I see that with both library and the FCSS, so.
And then they were looking at another exit too. I don't know, like I usually is on FCSS now, so there may be new things they were having concerns about.
Okay. Mayors and Reeves, I did make it, if you look at the list, there was hardly anybody there, and it was because of the weather. That was the day it stormed. I was stuck twice, so I didn't go. Oh, Jason.
Jason made it. You should have carpooled.
I should have. Joan was down there. But anyway, any questions on Mayor Louise? Okay, moving on to the library. And again, this is the one that Paul made a comment on, is that there's a discussion about the doors on that too. So I guess between the two, hopefully they'll get this door issue resolved.
Public Works has been talking to both.
Yeah.
To try to get
Stu's the go-to person.
Okay, MPC, and this is the one that, so there was 2. For those that haven't, I meant to bring the pictures of the medical health facility expansion. It's pretty close to being ready to go for tender. There's a couple little changes in it, but other than that, it's pretty well ready to go for tender. So they applied to MPC for this. I see there was no hiccups either for them, so.
Well, just an observation, they put in, everybody figured it was 4.5 million, you see they put in 5.5.
AHS.
AHS,
On the value.
okay. Well, I know that the foundation's only putting up 4.5, so obviously they're must be gonna plan to do $1 million of renovations.
And the architects are probably throwing in a bit of contingency in there.
Yeah.
Of no for
Okay,
the
yeah.
MPC.
And then the next one, in that too, that's the one where there was a note, mentioned that there was a motion made, to, recommend that John Seaman be appointed to the NPC as member at large. Go ahead.
So, John has sat on the MPC for several years. He was currently the chair. He, with Lyle he was a member at large, so now he's an elected official on the MPC, obviously through the appointments. John had put his name forward for sitting as the member at large, and through that came to the meeting, and they had the discussion. John wasn't sure about leaving his name forward at that time, and got a hold of me on Saturday and said that he would like to put his name forward. So the motions are already there from the MPC making recommendation, because council is the only people that can appoint to that committee. So that's why it didn't end up on this agenda formally, is because we didn't get notification that John would let his name stand until Saturday. So I sent it back to him that I would bring it forward to council. That's why we've added it informally. But as you can see from their minutes, that Paul had recommended that a recommendation may be made to council that John Seaman be appointed as a member at large to the Municipal Planning Commission with the term ending December 2019, which is a typical 2-year term for the MPC. And then based on that motion, moved by Randy Wolf, that upon council's approval, that John, as a member at large, that he remain as the chair. So the vice chair ran the last meeting, so this would keep things consistent, but again, that's up to you as council if you'd like to appoint him. But
it's
he hasn't
further
let his
on.
name stand.
Yeah. So that there's, just so that you'll
You know the motions
know
that
the
were
motions
made.
that have
So
been,
there's still one member at large to be
not until,
recruited?
not until,
After the new year.
Oh,
That's
is that
when-
when
that's when the
Randy's
Randall's-
gone? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the Twin Valley Water Commission. And see, they must have had an organizational meeting somewhere. And I see that Mr. Taylor is now the new chair.
Don't want to miss a meeting.
Okay, any questions on the Water Commission one? I see that they also,
They approved our contract and changed the town council had made a recommendation to change our projected use of water to 310,000 cubes, which is more accurate with what we've actually been using. And so they went ahead and did that in their strategic plan.
so there's two things in there that was recommended from the town. One was the contract with the operational side, change the date on that.
We used to do the the employees of the Public Works contract operate the water treatment plant for the commission, and we used to do that on a 2 to 3 year cycle. They always come back and ask for 1 year. We always go back and ask for 3 years because of consistency with our operators. And so the last negotiations, we asked for it to be ongoing. We just changed the term of the clause to say that this contract is ongoing until someone
Wants to get out.
wants to initiate the termination clause. And the termination clause is very simple. We have to give 90 days notice. So this way we don't have to look at it. We just have to amend the rates if council feels that they would like to increase the rates of what's being charged for that. But so then they obviously were in favor of that and made a motion to approve it that way.
Changing that usage to 310
Yeah,
affects the debentures.
okay. Any other question or any other on the water? And then,
So the 77.6 is what we were requesting?
yes,
That's what John had
Yeah.
suggested.
Yeah, okay.
So there
So
was
I
a-
basically
The
split
4%
it
increase.
we split-
halfway.
But I didn't know if that's what we had considered.
yeah. Okay, any questions on tourism? Okay, hearing none, then we'll start off with Lorna. You got any other ones that?
I went to a special meeting for VBDS on October 25th. Regular meeting for VBDS on November 8th. And with that one, there was information brought forth on the industrial land strategy, and they're hoping to have an open house sometime in January. And the project should be wrapped up by December 15th. Joint town Vulcan and Vulcan County budget meeting, and then the communication meeting last Thursday, I believe. And I have one request that I will be away for a couple of meetings in December and January, and I would contact my alternates to see if they could attend my meetings on my behalf. I don't know, do you guys do hangout on with the town council? Do Skype? Do you do any of those?
No.
No, okay. Is there any way that we can, not right now, but at some point look into technology?
We do have the option through our procedural bylaw. We just haven't done it with the equipment because we started using the equipment for recording, so.
Oh, for recording, okay.
But there is a possibility of.
Yeah, I don't know, I just thought that that's, keep saying we're the most technologically advanced small town. So I thought maybe we should put it to good use. And I think that was all.
Okay, any questions for Lorna? Hearing none, we'll move on to Michelle. Oh, Lorna, back.
One more thing, sorry. On my way back from the communication meeting on Thursday night, when we were driving up Main Street, we noticed all the cars at the Lodge Hall, and since they were still there, I went back to the smorgasbord stories.
Oh, yeah.
And walked in, the hall was jammed with people. They had amazing food everywhere. Samosas to pozole to, sushi to whatever. And it was just such a wonderful evening. And I wish we could have all maybe gone. I missed all the stories, but I have seen the stories with the exception of the Hutterite one. I have seen them online, but it was really something I hope maybe they would do again, because the diversity in our community is quite amazing. Now, this isn't just the town, this was the whole, when I say community, I mean the whole county, but it was very well attended, and I think it really opened a lot of people's eyes as to how many different groups cultural groups we do have in our area.
Okay,
Sorry.
no, not a problem. Okay, Michelle, you're up.
So unfortunately, we're having a lot of problems for whatever reason with my email with Victim Services. And now, thankfully, it's fixed with the help of wonderful Karen. She's fantastic. So I don't have the meetings with me. But Laura actually came to attend. She's the alternate as well for these directions. And they were going through all of their budgets, financials, introducing the RCMP liaison, and talking about April 6th, 7th, 8th, 2018. They had a yearly, or bi-yearly, conference in Banff, and a lot of it is geared towards board members, specifically with Victim Services. So that's something that's kind of interesting. That we'll be talking a lot more with Christy about. And yeah, I think that's probably, the rest of that was VBDS, which Lauren covered.
Not well, but
Yeah, so I apologize, I don't have
Thank you, Michelle. That wasn't a good one with the. That wasn't a good one with the emails. If you can reply to all, then everybody knows that you kind of got it, or if you're, type thing, so reply back that you got the message, or, you can attend, or whatever. It's kind of nice that everybody knows it. I know it's a pain, because sometimes you get all of a sudden 7 pop-ups, but at least you know that everybody got the message, and I think that's an important one, especially after my little speech at communication meeting. It's important that we, if you can't make it to a meeting, somebody knows that, so that you can find your alternate to go to. Great, thank you for bringing that up. Okay, Laura.
I was at VBIT on the 25th of October. There was a presentation from Bruce System, Dean and Eva, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, White. They want to do an engineering expo in town in April, but the finances that they're looking for and their level of organization, it's not going to happen this year. There's some talk about inviting them to have some kind of a demonstration booth at Spock Days to engineer more people interest for the following year. I guess we'll just have to see what happens there. That was the biggest thing at that meeting. Community Futures, I was at on the 26th of October. Kananaskis is transferring from this Community Futures to Central West. They're looking for a host for the AGM for July for 50 to 65 people. It would cost $500. They want, I guess what they usually do is a reception at 6, dinner at 7:30. They like to do round the golf. They basically figure they'll spend more than the $500 it costs to put it on. They've got a new storefront improvement loan thing they've got going on that goes with whatever vision that you have for your town. It's in the binder that I gave you. But it's basically low interest loans for any business that wants to improve their storefront to have a better flow for your downtown area. Nanton's getting a Timmy's, and Turner Valley has a new brewery, which I didn't know about either.
Okay.
Sounds interesting.
Any questions for Laura? Okay, thank you. Georgia Lee.
I was at FCSS, and they are looking at getting a quote for a door that will go from the conference room into the food bank part, out there where the coolers are. They say there's enough room in that little hallway to put a door, but they were going to look at the quote for it anyway. The 1867 Confederation Christmas Ball is on December 1st, that's a Friday, at the CRC, and the tickets are $25 a person, and they're available at FCSS or Market Street. The Pie Social they had here a while ago, they made $1,700 off. It wasn't great, but it wasn't a bust either, I guess so. I was also at the Water Commission, and we all read the minutes for that one. I was at the rec board meeting. Bonnie's report is in that, and basically Bonnie's report always follows the minutes really well, except the going to do the cross-country skiing again at the golf course this year, but only they're going to add snowshoeing with it also. And Bonnie's still looking at doing the snow fort this year with the straw bales, but this time she wants to pack them in snow, so maybe it won't be as much of a fire hazard than that for it. So they are getting quotes for a new sound system in the arena, so they're just getting quotes on that. And I also was at tourism, and we're going to talk about the one thing that we discussed here. The girls are looking at some Christmas merchandise. The girls are getting quite a bit of interest down there for people wanting to rent that building out for a couple hours at a time. And in our rental policy, we didn't have anything for an hourly rate. We had it like to rent it for a day or whatever, for a wedding or whatnot. So we did have to put a new thing in our policies to give people an hourly rate on it too. So that'd be kind of nice if we can generate some money off of that. And then I was at the communication meeting and the budget meeting with the community. And I think that was it.
Any questions for Georgia Lee? Mr. Taylor.
I was at NPC and water, on those. The other meeting of significance is fire hall. And the two CAOs and several of the people involved with that negotiation went down to talk to the firemen, just to let them know what was happening. And to date, the response has been by and large positive, and we're moving ahead.
That's it.
That's it.
Any questions for Mr. Taylor? Okay, I guess it's up to me now, or mine. Again, we all attended the communication meeting, and thank you very much for attending, especially the newer ones. You notice that it's kind of not a real high participation from a lot of the groups, but that's normally about the way it is. It's usually we're the ones that put the majority of the items onto the agenda. But again, it's kind of nice to hear what other communities might be doing or haven't been doing. So again, too, we attended the joint meetings with the county, and thank you for those that could attend, and hopefully some of the information's been positive for you. Had a meeting with SEWA, and I kind of brought everybody up to date at the communication meeting on that, about especially the November the 30th. It's a great opportunity to see. They'll have some good slides and showing the footprint and some more discussions on the two studies that are still open and why and where. But they'll also talk about some of the studies that have been done and where we're at and where we sit with them. So, Waste Commission met with them. I'm sorry I didn't bring the minutes, but I will bring them in. They did approve the budget. There is an increase, so hopefully it's not huge, but it is still substantial. On one, I think it works at about 5%, I believe, but we'll bring that in.
We had anticipated that, and it was included in the budget.
Yeah.
So.
They are going forward. There was a motion made to purchase a new garbage truck to replace two of the old ones that are giving them more problems than not. So, I did get an email and I sent it on to Kim, and everybody should have seen it somewhere from I think it was through FCSS, that this year we do get the holiday train coming through again. It usually is 1 year it's in the daytime, and 1 year it's at night. This will be our second year in the middle of the day, but we have no control over when, where, and why, and how they do it.
It's dependent on the route. So they have a north route and a south route. So if they go to Lethbridge, we get them during the day.
So anyway, they will be coming, and it's kind of a neat thing. They usually put on a pretty good event, and FCSS does, and it's a good opportunity for FCSS to get some food for the food bank. In fact, there's a motion for them in here too, for us to participate financially too, but it's usually a pretty good day. Or afternoon, or a couple hours that it's put on. Remembrance Day, I attended and brought welcome on behalf of the town for you folks. And then the AUMA conference, if everybody has an opportunity to see what the schedule is. Lorna did ask earlier, discuss this year's kind of seems a little disjointed, and it is partly because it's an election year and they're kind of running behind. Plus, they also lost their CAO, or whatever they call it, administrator, and they also are losing their president too this year. But it's a great time. So if is anybody going to are going to try and go to the early one? Do you know where you?
We got three.
We got three.
So okay.
That's the Tuesday. Yeah.
The Tuesday.
Yep, at 3:30, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the Wednesday morning, we will usually try and meet for breakfast at the convention center. And so if we miss you, hopefully we'll usually try and sit as a group and then we divide up and conquer, but.
That morning we'll be dressed.
Yes, we'll wear our uniforms, so hopefully everybody has a uniform that they might not fit really nice, they might not be as tailored as they should be, but unfortunately, it's again an election year, so we aren't able to go.
Some of the past counselors have brought theirs in, so that we should have a variety to pick from, so.
Is there any like little? Well, is that-
Judy's is fairly close.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
so anyway, hopefully we'll fit you so that it doesn't look like a gunny sack.
What
It's kind of
I
my
had to
concern.
do on mine is actually tuck the sleeves up, because the sleeves are too long.
Yeah. Anyway, they're not going to be perfect for this year, but unfortunately we've been working on trying to get something, you know, a little better, and so on the Wednesday morning, we can just meet at the convention center for breakfast, sometime around 7ish, and go from there. So
We walk from the hotel to the convention center, it's about a block and a half.
Is it
Oh, that's
just
okay.
It's
four?
about
Yeah.
5
It's a
o'clock.
little-
It seems like, oh, you guess you real,
You're in
the
California.
railroad tracks. So anyway, normally, you know, because we're all headed to the same place from the same hotel, a lot of times you'll meet everybody in the lobby anyway.
yeah, so we'll
if-
try and catch up with you on the Tuesday night if we don't get in too late.
If you do want somebody, just send a text message or something.
And also, they're usually on every night, well, especially the first night, Wednesday night, and just, yeah, there's functions on, so we'll try to get together and talk about, you know, some of that too as we're dealing with them, so. And again, if you have any questions, just send a text to somebody, and somebody usually will answer you or what.
And take lots of business cards.
Yeah, the only problem with taking business cards, you gotta be careful of that though, is that depending on who you give them to, sometimes you will get emails for the rest of your
In
entire.
the draws, you guaranteed that
emails.
you.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not such a bad thing, it's just, so there was a package made up for everybody with some ears and pins and stuff for
So are we
you.
supposed to give these out, is that the idea?
Yeah.
You'll have people coming
You'll
up
have
and
people
asking
asking
for them. And so what usually a lot of people do is they trade. They'll trade, you know, your pin for their pin or whatever. Especially if you're a pin collector, there are some that have a pretty good collections.
When you have an opportunity, we have a map of Alberta in our committee room here that has pins from all over the province.
So
So if you are collecting, we have a spot for them.
yeah.
And you might want to bargain with your ears.
Yeah. Okay,
Everybody wants
so, anyway, I think that's pretty well all the ones that I've participated in or have questions, or does anyone have any questions for me? If not, can somebody just move the committees and administration reports? Laura? Okay, any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have two bylaws. 1465-17, which is the 100 block of the 2nd Street South, and this is the local improvements that have been finalized. As you might see on that, there are 4 motions there. The first 2 will be first and second reading, and then we have an opportunity to put this on hold for a whole nother 2 weeks, or we can pass it tonight. But we need a unanimous on introduction of the third.
And the reason for that is the MGA gives the procedure for that. And on local improvements, on any bylaw, you have to be able to give that sober thought if you want to give it the final reading, because once it's final reading, it is done. So that's why they say your introduction to it needs to be unanimous. Everybody needs to be in favor of moving forward. If not, it gets moved to the next meeting.
Next meeting, then it'll be theoretically, it could be passed with a 50+1
Vote.
vote.
Majority vote will
Majority vote.
pass.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So these are for the local improvement projects that were done on Second Street North. The 100 block, we split them into two different portions because one was commercial, one was residential. So we did them as two bylaws so that we could keep the costs separate for each one. The notification went out for all of the property owners before this went forward. It got passed that they wanted to move forward with it. So on this Second Street project, sorry, Second Street South project, this first bylaw is for the commercial end of it. Those that were here in the past saw the rates that it was split out as. The bylaw is very straightforward, just shows the rates, everything that we need to include in. And then the schedules are really where the meat of it is. It shows what the frontage is, what the total levy divided by the owners, how much it is per year, and then the repayment rate, the interest rate. And the interest rate we use on the day that we put the bylaw together. So this was as of November 3rd. We go to the Alberta Capital Finance, and this is the percentage that we borrow the money.
Yeah, the 3.28%.
So that's why every bylaw will see a different interest rate. We do it on the date so that it's as close as we can to. The total assessment, it shows what the properties are and what their contribution. Everyone has the opportunity to pay in one lump sum or annual payments. If you pay the lump sum, you don't pay tomorrow. So that's the advantage of. On this bylaw, from the original quotes that we had to the work being completed, we saw almost a 30% decrease in the original costs that were anticipated. So that had a lot to do with the timeline that it took to get this done. Of course, these bylaws should have been done a year ago, but we're still waiting on some warranty issues. But we've been reassured that there will be no more costs being allocated to this project. So this is your first bylaw for that project.
Okay, Rhoda, got a question?
304 Second Avenue South, now how does that tie in with First and Second?
304, Second Avenue South
Yeah.
is flankage, so that's the long side of the property. And without going in camera to tell you who that is.
No,
it has
that's
a-
okay.
It has
But
a
it
Canada
all-
flag on it.
Okay. So it's up and around?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
No,
No,
they're
you're
only
just doing
playing
the-
outside.
you're
the
just
flag, the flankage is a side, so it's only 15
So it's on a corner lot.
Oh, so that's why their address is different, but what we're doing is.
Right.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
So that's why Kim talked about this frontage and this flankage. So.
But
depends on
it just
how-
seemed like the numbers were one too high?
Right, so flankage, if you remember when we.
Well, yeah, I know what
policy-
you mean by that, because I've got frontage and flankage on my place.
Right, and the flankage is calculated at the 25%.
Right. I guess,
You're
but
still
I
on the
was
numbers.
just, the numbers to me didn't look like they
Right.
fit in there, even if you change it around to Third Street and Second Avenue, it still seemed like the numbers were.
The reason why we have to do that is we have to use their municipal address.
Okay.
So the work was on the side, and you can see I identified it as flankage, so that we know that that was the side of the property. That we had two of them on the industrial, on the commercial.
Just curious.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Okay. Somebody wish to move first reading? George Lee moves the first reading. Any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, second reading.
I'll do that one.
Lorna moves the second reading. Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, the third to introduce,
Motion to
motion to introduce the third reading.
I'll move that.
Paul moves it. Any question on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, third reading, I guess. Somebody wish to move third.
Can I do another one?
Sure,
Okay.
Lorna
Okay.
moves it. Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, so now moving on to the local improvements 1466-17, which is on the second, which is the residential portion of it.
And this follows the same rules. It's the 75-25 split. The homeowners were all notified, and they identified that they wanted to move forward with it. Council moved forward with it. We saw a 26% reduction. The first homeowner on this is the largest property. I'm speaking to it because I cannot give that information, but they're very aware of it. If they saw the original, they had a $200 a year reduction in the costs from what the original that was put out, so.
Okay, and so,
Legally, we can't give people's names. If we do, we have to go
Everybody knows
on
where I live. It's all
camera.
good.
So if you would like to tell people, then that's, you can.
Make sure everybody knows where I live, so it's all good.
To be completely honest, when we do the mill rate, we also do the same thing for council. We use councilors' homes when we do the mill rate. And if you want to talk about it in camera, you can, but most everybody knows where they live. So,
Oh, I like that number better, that's all I have to say.
so again, this work took quite a long time. We actually should have, we were working on trying to get this done at the beginning of the year, but of course, this year we tried to remedy some of the work that was done through warranty, and we've now, like I said, we still have some warranty that we would like to get completed, but there will be no extra costs. And so we wanted to get this in place because, of course, the work started 2 years ago. We need to start.
and we'll see another bylaw like this coming up on for,
4th Street South, we will do the walkthrough on it, and that was the 2017 project. We will probably be doing that bylaw in January, probably January, February.
okay, so, any questions on this? Hearing none, somebody wish to move the first reading? Okay, Laura? Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? That's good. Introduction, second reading. Okay, George Lee, thank you. Any question on George Lee's? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, the introduction. Paul again. Thank you. Any question on Paul's to introduce the third reading? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, third reading. Lorna. Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to the CPR food bank one. So in the past, the town council of the day decided to contribute some cash towards this project. When they come, there's usually, they raise money from the CPR employees, and so we usually try and make an offer, some cash towards it too, so this would come out of contingency again?
No, the administration grants
Oh,
portion.
okay, oh, I see that,
Of the
thank you.
20.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have three motions there. The first one is to contribute $2,000 towards it. The second one is for a temporary road closure, which we have to do for parades or any event that would close a road. We have to do a road closure. And then third one is to ask Public Works and the fire department to assist the CPR holiday train to accommodate them.
Do we always give them 2,000, or is it in different amounts?
No, it was traditionally 2,000,
Okay, I'll move that one.
as far back as I looked.
Okay.
Okay, Georgia Lee moves the first one. Any question on Georgia Lee's motion to contribute $2,000 to the FCSS? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, the second motion to close the road.
So
Paul moves. Any question on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. And the third one is to ask for the Public Works and the Fire Department to assist FCSS. Lorna? Any question on Lorna's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried.
Is this a Sunday?
It is.
Yes.
We have, I don't know if we've.
We've never had a Sunday before, that I can remember.
And one of the more important reasons to have a motion to approve Public Works, because they won't be working. So.
Okay, moving on to elected officials education one. This was brought up again at the communication meeting, and I'm not sure if everybody got this in their letter from AUMA, but this is the one. There are 5 or 6 different locations that we could qualify. Like, you know, I guess Drumheller, Medicine Hat, I guess Cochrane, and then Lethbridge are all closed now. The county said that they were able to get all their guys into Lethbridge. This is mandatory, this is not an option, we need to take it somewhere.
It's mandatory to offer it.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought that.
Right- right now the-
Something else further down, it sounds like it is totally,
You
you
have
must
to,
take
yeah.
it.
Well, I thought Rachel made it a must, not a,
Yes, the actual wording is that it has to be offered.
oh, offer.
So,
Okay, I apologize, then I thought that it was a
It-
must, by the way
It's still good, Tom.
the way they word it.
Well, that, you know, you only have 90 days to,
And this is the last, that's why the January the 8th.
January 8th is the last one that they're gonna do.
They're offering. So Lethbridge is the closest. It's a 2-day event. Being it's in Lethbridge, it's nice. It's close enough we can come back home or you can stay with a relative or sleep in your car or there's other places.
January 8th. How cold could it be?
It's Lethbridge.
That's a real big deal. Now, did I read somewhere too that, okay, the cost for the course is $200, but they will reimburse us?
No, they've reduced the cost to $200.
Oh, is that what that meant?
That's,
Because
yes.
the way I read it, I couldn't decide if that meant it was 200 plus they gave you that back or.
They've reduced it to
Okay,
200.
200.
So you're going to be away.
So I am either going to Medicine Hat, Cochrane, or Drumheller.
Okay.
But I didn't really want to go to, I would like to go to Drumheller. I mean, if I had to go somewhere.
Because of the Badlands.
Yeah, I can hardly.
I've got friends you could stay with there.
Thank you.
Nice to see all of them.
Yeah, well, and then Friday night is the FCSS Christmas Gala too, which I guess, I don't know how late this would go, probably be done at 4:30, would it? 5?
Probably.
I'd be back in time. Medicine Hat, I really don't want to go that far, and Cochrane, I have 2 other appointments that I would have to cancel, so I don't know.
So just let Karen know and then we can get you.
Yeah, I didn't know if anybody else had any conflicts with January 8th and 9th.
And this is why we've put
Oh, wow.
this is why we've worded the motion to allow for. It's the elected officials program at a location of your choosing, with the preference being given to Lethbridge being close.
So that would be my preference too.
Okay, any questions on this? So we need a motion to,
Just so they cover the expenses.
so we can cover expenses, right?
So move.
Paul moves. Any questions on Paul's motion?
No, when you guys go, I'll have fun and I'll be by myself.
Yeah, you'll be all by yourself. Okay, I saw the podium on that one too.
Thank you.
All in favor? It's carried, thank you. Okay, then moving on to the next one, which is the appointment of these 3 gentlemen to the Fire Services Committee.
Must offer.
Oh, must offer, okay, I apologize, I'm sure I
It's
read
awful, it's
somewhere.
awful word.
But there is another sentence somewhere that I read, Tom, too, that it said you're obliged to take it or
That's,
something.
I
yeah.
thought too, but anyway, moving on.
Beat that one up a little bit.
Okay, so this is that committee that we have struck, that, so administration's recommending that we appoint 3 people, 1 from town council, which we've asked Mr. Taylor to sit on, and Mr. Hill has offered to sit on it, and so has Mr. Birch. So we need a motion to appoint these 3 gentlemen to this committee. Lorna, thank you. Any questions on this at all? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, counselors for photography or photos. This is kind of a dual thing. We need it for the wall of shame, and we also need it for the
Website.
website. So, being that Mason's the only one that has a business license with us, we contacted him and he has come up with a price, which is probably in the line as close as.
It was, his quote is exactly the same as what he did the last one for. So he hasn't increased his price in 4 years. Next question I wanted to ask, we provided him with the new logo. We didn't know if
Yeah,
council
do you want
wants
the
to go
new?
with the old logo or the new. We have converted our letterhead, of course, our pins to the new logo, so.
I would say the new then.
So would I.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next question
And he's gonna
is,
change the date on that.
oh, okay, there was an error on
It should
that.
be 2013 to 17,
What does it say?
14 to 17. So he's gonna fix that and add it.
Okay, so does anybody wish to move this? Michelle? Okay, thank you. Any question on Michelle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried, thank you. So, I'm sure he'll be wanting us to
Yes.
attend soon.
I did mention that the UMA, what he'll do is he'll set up appointments, nice, he does all the photography in his garage, so we'll just make them up so that they're available for when you guys can make it over there, and we'll try to schedule so that we'll get as many done as quickly as we can.
I'm sorry, did you say his garage?
His garage,
Oh, it's
he lives in town, it's converted into
okay.
It's a studio.
He's
It's a
got,
studio.
he's got more stuff in there. Well, and like I said, we can set it up so that we have concurring appointments as well. He said that he'd like to schedule a half an hour per person, but Tom and I went the last time for those ones, and we were in and out of there about 10 minutes, I think. So what he'd like to do is set up the lighting and everything so that the backgrounds are exactly the same through the entire thing. So,
And it is heated.
Yeah,
oh yeah, it's
it's good.
yeah,
It's
we'll
okay. Okay,
we'll chat about it, setting up the appointments. We'll get that all.
okay, moving on to the Alberta Local Authorities Insurance Exchange. This one's been kind of going on for a bit.
2002,
I
so
see
well
that.
before anyone thought about being here, I guess. They stopped doing claims. Of course, it took this long to settle all of their claims, get through the process, and they have now settled, and our asset in that organization was $29,000, so they've cut us a check. We would like to know what account you would like to put it in. We, for the ease of putting this in there, and to answer Lorna's question, we've used some funds from the contingency reserve, so this would be just a nice place to put that.
Okay, so we need a motion to accept this check and put it in contingency. George D, thank you. It's an easy one.
I was gonna say, we
You
don't very often get.
Not very
much
often
in.
do we get people giving us money.
Okay, any question on George D's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried.
I guess,
Okay.
given it only took that long to get it back, I guess it was always ours.
Yeah. And I was here in 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to this Act 4 Health Cancer Prevention request. So they're wanting to put some bike racks
around town.
in town. And so obviously between Public Works and
For this, we focused on the requests that were for on town property, because they did mention some other places that were private property. That would be up to them to talk to the owners about how they want to go ahead and do that. So the ones they talked about for the town were at Memorial Park, Birch Park, Virginia Mitchell Park, Campground, along the soccer fields, and then one at the Ball Diamonds, and then at the library, the front corner where the bike rack used to be, the portable. I think there's still a portable bike rack there. Depending on time of year, we take it away and move it back, depending on snow removal. So
these ones are a little different because
Yeah.
they're kind of a stand-up and the bike can go in and lock it in a little easier and
more of a modern
like
stainless steel loop, basically.
hoop thing. So
And these people had actually approached the library months ago, and it just, nothing happened, so.
okay, so it's here. So I guess the question is do we want to allow this event to go forward?
Well, I think we should, because they seem to be, I've only been to one of their meetings, I just went as an observer sort of, and they seem to be really putting a lot of effort into getting healthy things into our community in a different way. So I would move this.
Okay, Lorna moves it. Any question on Lorna's motion?
So with, like, it was mentioned about snow removal, stuff like that, does it really make that big of a change because there's already one that kind of comes and goes, library?
Public Works has reviewed this, and of course, the key to this is in coordination with the Public Works and Recreation Department, so it will be located in a spot where it won't interrupt any of that stuff.
Okay.
That's why we try to always include Public Works in the conversation before we bring it to council and after, so that they can get it where they need it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to the Tourism Society, requesting that town provide administration management as of January 1st. So, most of us have had an opportunity to hear the pros and cons of what's going on, and anybody wish to move this, to move it forward?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Taylor, Paul moves it. Okay, any questions on Paul's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to DBS.
This is just a recommendation back to the society.
I would move that.
Okay, Lorna moves us.
And just for anyone's, well, you know, there will be a meeting next Monday night, depending on what was decided here.
Okay. Okay, so Lorna moves this motion. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, moving on to 11.9, which is the appointment of Mr. Seaman to MPC. This is a recommendation, so
Obviously, based on the minutes from the last MPC meeting, they are making that recommendation with John putting his name forward. I brought it to council.
I guess being the guy on NBC, I'll make the motion.
Paul moves. Again, any questions or on this, Tom?
Doesn't it have to be advertised?
Nope.
No, this one's filling that spot.
Just for
Lyle-
the spot for Miles.
Lyle became elected. We will be advertising the spot in January for
John.
the
Randy.
Or for Randy's.
for a member at large.
Member at large for Randy's position.
So the ad that was in the paper,
That was in case John didn't put his name forward.
okay, but it said 2 positions there.
Yeah, it was going to go into the new year because we don't have a lot of people banging down the doors for that one as well.
Okay.
And in the past too, we did kind of, last time when we had it, we had sent it back to MPC for them to make a recommendation of people that applied. And that's what took a little longer
Okay,
to.
so then it has come from here to them and then back.
Well, no,
That time it did.
that time it did, but normally it should go right to MPC. MPC will look at the applicants, make a recommendation, and council can take those recommendations forward.
Right, so then it has, so it's actually about 3 meetings.
It should go to MPC first, and
Under,
then go to council.
under normal circumstances, they'll advertise, they'll get the responses, it'll go to the MPC, and the MPC will go through the people that respond, and then make a recommendation to council. Last time,
Yeah.
they had 3 that responded, they skipped going through MPC and came straight back to council. Council sent it back to the MPC
Yeah.
for recommendation, and then it came
Oh,
back.
okay, so that's what I was saying, it had to
Yeah.
come here.
And same with, like, the rec board is another one, a rec committee, that, the same thing. If the airport, when it comes up for the members at large, that'll be another one that theoretically should go to the airport committee before. I think that's it. I think those are the only ones that we have, but that's the theory of it anyway.
So the applications would come to town and then you would hand that over to the NBC?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then-
They come here because they go directly to Nancy, who puts together the information for the MPC. We do the same with the tourism, because we have a member at large from tourism, so we put out the ad, and as those that were around know, we didn't have anybody respond to the ad for a long time, so.
Then we go for it.
And we only ended up getting one, and of course, that made it a pretty easy recommendation for the committee.
Okay, so Paul made this motion. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, and then moving on to the 1110, which is number 112 3rd Street North, 3rd Avenue North, I apologize. So,
This is the actual bill in which he was talking about.
so the $734.25 is the water charge.
So
And-
there's the basic fee in there, which, now, he did say this was a 1-month bill, it isn't, it's a 2-month bill. All of our utilities are a 2-month bill. So there would, on here, we would have the basic fee, and depending on the business, because it's commercial, the MPC puts conditions on a lot of utilities based on their development. So when he said commercial is different, that's why things like the garbage can be taken back to MPC, because each development permit for different buildings changes all the time. So if he was to change those 4 units into one big unit to accommodate one business, the MPC would then make recommendation to adjust the rates accordingly. So what he has now currently is the building has 4 units in it. So this is one of the 4. So the dollars that he's talking about, the 734, is for the flat fee plus 399 cubic meters of water. We get charged $1.75 from the Water Commission per cubic meter. So, based even at rounding it up to 200, that's $800 just in water. So yeah, he's actually paying for just the water going through the meter plus the $18 a month charge. So the $36 is what the flat fee is. So we really are charging for exactly what went through the meter. Going back to this, these intervals, and this is where Bob's not arguing the fact. You can clearly see what a day-to-day flow through that. You had 1 day of good flow, but the rest is just normal usage for a building like this. And then, like I said, something was flowing through that meter from that date, July 31st, to about midday on the 24th.
Is there an outside tap there?
And really, we went in and looked from a public works end. They went in when they data logged just to see if they could see anything unusual. And he's right, there's a tap, a toilet, and a hot water tank. Now, having said that, Bob also admits nobody was in that building, and that, or, his son went in and out of the building one time, but he can't confirm whether anything was running or not either. All we can do is take what we have for the meter, and if this would have stayed at that right up until the read, it would have been a lot more peculiar than going up and then ending. So it's really hard, because for the town, we're not billing any more for water than what we get charged for it. So one of our initial conversations that Bob and I had, he said, well, just write it off. I said, but we can't write it off. And he said, but you can't just absorb it.
Yeah.
And I said, but we pay for that
Yeah.
water, so
But we can write it off.
you can.
But what it'll do is that
goes-
money, that amount of water theoretically will be shared by the rest of the residents of the town, of the community. And, is it our fault that, there's a broken line? Like, when we have a broken water line on the main, all the residents of the community pay for that through taxation. So we can absorb it, we can write it off. He is right that it is a business, it's different than a residential. What he's talking about on the water shut-off is that we implemented a policy of what it would cost for somebody to have their water shut off at when they go south, and then turn back on. And there is a cost to us as a community, because we have to send somebody physically there, shut the water off, physically go back and turn it on. They can go down the basement and shut their water meter off below their water meter, and there will be no flow. They'll, you know,
Do they just pay like a minimum then?
they pay the,
So that's the change in policy that we
Right.
talked about that we implemented last year, and then there was a large amount of discussion that went around that, because what happened in the past is if somebody came in and turned their water off, we would inactivate their account, which means that they had no charge at all for garbage, water, anything. We were still being charged from the Waste Commission to pick up garbage. The water and the sewer charges, they weren't getting charged that flat fee, and what we've done is that $18 per month that we talked about for water and sewer, that goes directly to repair and maintenance of the main lines in town, not what we purchase from the Water Commission. So if we have a water break, that when Tom says that's how we pay for it out of that flat fee. So the argument at that point and why that policy was implemented is the sewer lagoon is one of the best ones. We have a huge, and you've seen this, we have a huge loan for a sewer lagoon. And the loan payments for that sewer lagoon are based on the flat fee. So when people were going south or a building, and Bob's argument about a commercial building being vacant still isn't, from an administration standpoint, it's still not an argument, because we still have that infrastructure. We're still paying for the lagoon, whether that building's vacant or not. Understand that that's a business thing. It's in his best interest to have renters in there, but it's also hard to get renters, so we understand that. But the infrastructure that we supplied to that building is still there, and we still pay for it on whether there's people in the building or not. And again, same argument for residential. When somebody goes south for the winter, we still paid for that water and sewer to get to the front of their house. The local improvement speaks to it the best. It's there to benefit your property, and we paid X amount of dollars for it. And local improvements are 75-25, so the community as a whole still pays for that 75%. So the flat fee on your charge to pay for the sewer lagoon loan should never go away. That should be a constant. That's what we rely on to pay our bills. The nice part with the water is now we bill exactly what it costs to go through, so it becomes an in and out in our budget. The flat fee covers our bills for water, what people use, whether we have a dry year like this year where our consumption goes way up. From the household and the commercial and industrial standpoints, they pay for exactly what goes through the meter. The only thing that's impacted is the municipal use for our campgrounds, our own services for watering, say the town office, our parks, those sort of things that aren't on a raw water system. So, and that's the only water that we use, that we distribute the cost onto the rest of the community unless there is a water break. And of course, that's unfair for a neighborhood to pay for a water break individually.
But then if Bob had a water break here,
right.
and then all of a sudden it just stopped, who would have fixed the water break? If it was a water break that
But
caused this?
if he shut the tap off, which he said he did,
Yeah,
Which
then now he admitted he shut the tap off. He doesn't remember what day. He thought it was the 21st. But if you look on the chart, we believe it's the 24th. All of a sudden, the water quit. So, you know, when
if
you
his
shut the
toilet
tap
was
off,
running, or
it's just like when I go home, when we leave our house for more than a day, we go downstairs, shut the tap off. Our kids know if they come home, they need to use the washroom, they go downstairs, turn the tap on, because I know what it's like to have a toilet that breaks. You know, now he says, and I believe him, that somebody went in there and the toilet doesn't run, but yet if you look at the chart where the water was shut off, where the tenant left, between the two, that's where all the water was used.
So do we have any way of monitoring it from the water building, that there is an undue amount of water being run through?
And that's why those little
you can
stars
see
are.
right here, these little stars.
Yeah.
It showed a leak. It flagged a leak
So
the very first day.
so then, is the person contacted?
If you look on your water bill, it states that
Do you have a leak?
you've got a leak.
I know, but what, I'm just going by, I had a leak at another place that we have, and as soon as it was running for, say, 3 or 4 days, they contacted us to say, do you know this is not your normal thing?
See, and we can't do that because we only read our meters every other.
Okay,
for-
yeah,
for
that's
the-
what I was
Ours
wondering.
aren't live.
Yeah, that's what I was just
We're-
wondering. if there was a way.
They're not live meters.
Okay.
We go around and read them for
When-
billing
Yeah,
purposes.
There is, and ours has that technology, it's just that it's another huge cost to make it live so that at the town office, they know exactly, they can go in there and say, oh, Lorna's having a shower because she's using, X amount of water. Richard's was having a shower, but he only used 2 gallons of water.
No, that's the other way around now, that you know.
What we opted for is for this data logging technology on there so that we can go in at any time and we can go back over a period of several months and see where the consumption is.
No, I was just wondering if we had a.
We don't have that.
We don't have that, okay.
But we could get it.
Well, no, I'm not
I'm
saying
not
we
sure
What the
want it,
costs
but.
are.
I don't know what the cost was,
Yeah,
but.
I'm not saying we want it, I just know
Yeah.
that that happened with us, and that within a few days, they notified us that we had a leak, which was very nice because we weren't there, so.
For the purposes of this, so that everybody is aware, the meters that we put in, I believe, 7 years ago. And the cost then was about $500,000 to do the upgrade to this. And it's so that we can have this technology for, one of the best examples of it, something like this is when we first did it, we had somebody that come in and complained about their water bill because it was quite high. And so we offered to data log it for them. We data logged it for them and they said, well, there's X amount of days, and it looked like it was about every Tuesday. The water ran 24 hours a day for that day. And I said, okay, so you have something that's happening every Tuesday that is allowing your water to flow nonstop for over a 24-hour period. And he looked at me and said, well, yeah, that's the day I water my trees. And I said, okay, so that's where your water is going. Well, I shouldn't have to pay for that because I have to keep those trees alive. Once he understood that we could break it down like that, we haven't heard from him since. And for this situation, I sat down, and that's why Bob said that I sat down and I went through it. And from our standpoint, reading this, something turned that water on, it went through for this long, and it shut off on this date. If it would have been ongoing, we would be in the building looking for it and trying to identify what it is. But it's stopped. Somebody has identified what it is.
So anyway, we
Yeah.
have this dilemma in front of us to deal with, and I'm not sure what your thoughts are. The suggestion was for him to contact, through MPC and see if they're willing to do it on the garbage side, because he has concern that the building's empty.
For the water
With
portion.
the water portion,
This is what you guys want to talk about.
we need to make a decision.
Well, I don't think it's fair that everybody should have to pay on somebody's open tap.
I mean, at the same time though, with him, not knowing until after the fact, being a commercial owner in the community, maybe there's a compromise in the middle, say, okay, you know what, the flat fees and stuff like that, like they have to stay because that's, just everybody. But, maybe the town can help and not necessarily write off the whole thing, but, what his usual bill would be kind of thing, down to that level. And it wouldn't be as big of a hit if,
So this is the first time somebody's actually come to council to ask. We've had several people that this has happened to before. We have never written it off before. One of them was a residential lady whose granddaughter came, stayed, left, toilet ran for a month. She got her bill, it was $800. What we've done is we've allowed, where we don't put penalty on it and allow months to pay it off, but the water actually goes through the meters, so we got charged for it. That's the key. So, just so that you know that we haven't done it in the past, we've allowed time to pay it off, but we've never written.
Didn't we have,
In my
didn't
term,
we have a commercial one too?
we had the
That their water bill was really high
$4,000.
and
and
they did a payment plan or something.
Yes, it was
didn't
it was a leak underneath the building. It was going directly into the sewer line, so it wasn't identified until the next meter read. We went in, identified it, it was $4,000, and we allowed them several months to pay that off. Again, because it was an unusual circumstance. So, but like I said, all those options are available. This is just the time that I've been here since we put the meters in. We haven't done that. But
But something's happened in that building.
And I guess that's the other thing, and I would think as an insurance person, this is just my point, I thought you had to have someone check your buildings frequently, like every 2 to 3 days, just to see
2 days.
that there isn't a problem.
Anyway,
It's just, you can't leave them empty, like,
especially,
that's for residential, I don't know about commercial.
yeah, I can't imagine much different. So what's your thoughts, folks?
I'll make a motion that we give him a payment option. Or, because that's what we did before, we gave the commercial,
to allow the penalty to be waived
Right,
until
yes.
paid.
yeah.
Okay, so Jerkley moves that we offer a payment program.
Just waive the penalty.
Waive the penalty fees.
Until paid in full.
Okay,
And does that have a certain length of time to it, or is it just whatever you work out?
Well, then again, that does leave the option to just never pay it.
that's right.
That's
and
true.
never be charged penalty, so.
And we do have a track history with
So-
Mr. Scheer.
Yeah, so
Well-
you could put a date that it must be cleared with the account to be to a zero balance by.
The end of the year, does that sound
Well,
unreasonable?
And end of the year is pretty quick.
Yeah.
So by,
I think give it 6 months and then,
April 1? No fooling?
Sorry, what did you say?
is it April 1st?
Oh.
No, for me.
yeah, if the account balance.
Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody understand the intent of the motion? Okay, any questions on the motion?
So we're asking for payment of the whole amount, and we're just discussing water
Just,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, and then he'll bring it up to NBC
on the sewer and garbage.
sewer,
Yeah.
well, the garbage.
Garbage, yes, we.
Well, there is other ways he can get around the garbage and sewer if he wants to amalgamate parts of his building.
You can change the use of the building
And I think that's what Nancy's
and or
wants.
get a bin. Lots of commercial businesses get their own bin. And that way. The problem with that location, and I did talk to Bob about it, is the back portion is used for parking, so it would eliminate some of the parking. So, but,
That's interesting.
Yeah.
many businesses downtown do use bins rather than the garbage pickup. So.
Okay, any other questions on this? Hearing none, all in favor? It is carried, thank you very much. Notice of motions. Hearing none, we'll move on to management reports. We'll start off with the CAOs.
We've obviously been going through the QP stuff. It will be in-camera discussion on where we are with the negotiations. The Twin Valley Regional Water Commission, of course, we did get the update through the minutes that they lowered our projection to 310,000 cubic meters a year, which is on par with what we're actually using. It was slightly higher, but not very much. And October 30th meeting, they were approved. Also talking about the operation agreement that's in there. The election we did internally. Of course, you all attended the organization meeting. Thank you, and the swearing in. And we completed the election with all in-house staff, saving some substantial costs on what we projected for the cost of the election. And we compensated the staff for the extra hours by a day in lieu. So was able to obviously get your computers up and ready before that first meeting, which was nice because we weren't sure whether we were going to get them. The industrial land use strategy, we have been through the phase 2 and 3 report. We provide both the town and county provided our feedback, and there was just a couple small issues that we wanted dealt with, just more than anything, areas that we wanted them to pay a little closer attention to, just to make sure that when it comes back to council, we have some good answers on how they would recommend moving forward. The joint council meeting, obviously, everybody that could attend did, and it was decent discussion, very similar to what was had before. The fire agreement committee, everything has been put forward. Obviously, the 3 names have been forward, and it looks like we're going to be able to have our first meeting on the entire committee plus the agreement committee to try to bring them up to speed on where we're at. We're trying to hold that on November 20th. So, and I had Fortis in come and gave us our annual report. Of course, they did the streetlight updates that everybody's aware of, and they don't have any other major projects in the area planned for this year. I attended the certification advisory committee meetings in Edmonton. And yeah, that's about all I have for it. On my management report, we have a couple things outstanding, but they're, all of them are well on their way to being completed. So that one's a little harder to read unless you zoom right in.
Okay, any questions for Kim? Moving on to development officers, Nancy's.
The 402 Center Street, I have had a lot of inquiries recently. It just seemed like all of a sudden last week was on everybody's mind, I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm glad to see that that was on here.
Any other questions on Nancy's?
Has the application been made for the demolition yet?
I'm not sure.
Okay, moving on to Public Works. I hope when they do the lighting on the arena, we don't run into the same thing that we ran into when we had that study done. And then they came and put them in and found out that it was,
Still too dark.
3 candles, gave off more light.
Yeah.
Um,
No, this is being spearheaded internally rather than from an
Okay.
external report. And what, I guess for the background for the lights in the arena, the ballasts are starting to fail on our current lights that are in there. And the cost of buying a new ballast is very similar to the reduction through the grant funding that we can get from new LED that I supposedly put out the same amount of light. And so a couple arenas in the area have applied for this grant funding to equalize the cost, and it's working out fairly. So we looked at putting a price together for the entire project, and we've applied for the grant funding. If we get it, we'll get council's approval to go ahead and change all of the lights in there. We were told as we start replacing ballast that the lights that are currently in there at the end of they're at the end of their life. We can of course replace the guts, we always have, but they're at the end of their useful life, so we could look for energy savings through moving to LED, so that's what we started to explore.
Have the light standards showed up yet?
No,
Okay.
if you get an opportunity to stop Stu on the street and ask him, you should.
I don't think so. I just saw that they were doing the hydrovacing and the cement bullards showed up, or
Yes.
I thought, well, maybe.
What the last plan was is to get the bases in place, and then they can plant poles, even if the frost is in the ground, so. The bases hopefully will be going in the next day or so. Of course, a couple of them, they need to put the bases right where the old poles are. We don't want to lose the old poles, so we're trying to coordinate everything. Stu has, and I jest at that, Stu's been rubbing his face pretty hard about trying to get this project finished. It was gonna be one of those really nice ones that were gonna be done before the election.
Yeah.
Best laid plans. I think Roy Elmer might be getting the chuckle out of this.
Although he did make a comment, you know, why we picked east instead of west, but anyway. So the pumps at the river or the Twin Valley Dam, are they just going in for maintenance? Is that what they usually is? Or?
Yeah, some background history. They're for the Water Commission, so we're doing that work on their behalf. The initial pumps that were put in out at the river, they actually bent a shaft when they put them in the first time, so they were packing really bad, so they're going to replace a chunk of that. And they have about 1.75 inch shaft on them, and so to replace it is quite costly. Packings do wear them down, so we let the packing on this one wear it down. So we did get, I don't know, 12 years out of it. So now we're gonna replace the top portion. Of course, that's Twin Valley doing that. We arranged that work for them. He's a little worried about getting a picker to go up that hill with the snow, because we had to get a crane in there to pull those pumps.
They used a crane on it to pick it up, did they?
Yeah, they used a crane. Stu headed out there with the 1 ton to plow the road, said that he might call me if he needed help. He made it back, so.
Okay, any questions on Mr. Birch's? Okay, moving on to the rec one. I quite like this program attendance sheet. I assume it's shared with the committee. It definitely shows, you know, the ones that were either exciting or some of them might be weather related too, you know, like if you got a snow day, you know, that could be a positive or it could be a negative of attendance. Okay, any other thoughts or questions on Bonnie's? Moving on to peace officer.
We are getting another visit from the Solicitor General. They're just going to make sure that all the stuff that we implemented, we had an inspection done from the Solicitor General earlier this year that kind of looked over our programs and they make recommendations on things that we can improve on. So we've made those changes, and so they're going to come back and just make sure that everything is implemented. One of the good ones was all of the files that Justin has have to be reviewed by a supervisor. So we've set up a process for that online so that I can actually go through and read files. But of course, we didn't have it set up until last week, so I got to do a year's worth of files. It was a good 2 days.
Good read.
Yes, you learn some good and bad things about our community, but for the majority, good resolutions to everything, so. It was an interesting couple days. So we've got that completed, so they haven't indicated a date, but they're hoping to do it before the new year, so.
Okay, any other question or any questions on Justin's? Okay, moving on to the fire report.
This is the first one that Doug's put together for us, and he basically followed as close to the format as what council's been used to seeing as he could.
So is this just talking about Station 27, or did we call the new one 27?
The new one's 27.
Okay.
The unified department, and they
Is
said they would like to keep that because of the AFRAX radios were already programmed with that.
Do we have signs on our truck that say Station 18?
The trucks were numbered 18.
One and three. or the towns.
So,
So will they have to be changed or not? There's
yeah,
that.
they're just deckling, I'm not sure what it's
I
gonna,
would
That's not
assume
updated.
that they'll be done in the near future.
they issued you guys new numbers, right?
Yeah.
27, so Tom was 1806,
Yeah.
and you're now 2706.
Nope, 2711.
Oh, 2711, right?
So for 39 years, 10 months, I had number 6. And for the last month, I've had
Weeks.
11.
Do you still answer?
Oh, yeah.
Then,
Sure.
okay. So,
It's only a number.
MVC?
motor vehicle,
Okay,
It's not an accident, it's a collision.
collision.
okay, fair enough, it's all good.
Yeah. And then the one that was highlighted is like first response, and then they try and figure out if the EMS was in town, like, you know, because sometimes you have first response and EMS is in town, and sometimes you have first response when EMS is not. Now, EMS will not share whether they're out on a flex, and that means that they've gone to another community just because that other community doesn't have an ambulance over there, or whether they in that are on another call. We don't know that, so.
We had that put on there because we've had conversations with AHS about that, and our former fire chief, who was also a member, so he knew that information, so he included it in his report, so that we're always up to speed on it. And I don't know if they'll have that information from now on.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get that, but
Okay, any questions for Doug's report? Hearing none, somebody wish to move the management reports? Laura? Sure. Any question on Laura's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. So now we need to go in camera to discuss the employee negotiations.
do you want to read that?
Somebody wish to move us in camera?
For,
It says, council is asked to consider taking the decision concerning the QP 37 collective bargaining agreement in camera as per FOIP, Part 1, Division 2, Section 16A2. So somebody wish to move us in? Arnold? Any question on Lana's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? It's carried. Okay, so George Lee, any question on George Lee's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, so in the discussion that we had with Kim over the negotiations, that we gave permission to move forward with the negotiations with the QP. Okay, and so we need a motion to adjourn. Oh, Michelle. Thank you very much. Any question on Michelle's motion? Hearing none, all in favor? We're out, done.